Well, it looks like the Switch 2 floodgates are indeed flying open right now, and this comes on the heels of Gamescom, which we had recently discussed a tweet that was put out by Jez Corden talking about how Nintendo was behind the scenes at Gamescom showing off this device to press, apparently. Still a little sketchy on that one, and developers with publishers. That makes a lot more sense. And now it appears multiple reports are coming out detailing tech demos, specifications, all this stuff still kind of getting out there now. But I really wanted to talk about one report, the one that's really started it, and kind of our expectation going forward because, yeah, the Switch 2 floodgates are open, and I'm actually expecting more information to be coming down the pipeline probably in the next month or so. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new here to the Spawnwave Plus channel. Let's head over here. This was the initial report that other reports then basically followed from, and it's from Eurogamer. They said Nintendo demoed Switch 2 to developers at Gamescom. And again, the event that in question here is the same one that Jez Corden mentioned. Yes, people were there seeing this next generation device. That caught some people off guard because Jez doesn't typically talk about Nintendo stuff. He's mostly in like the Windows, Microsoft, Xbox ecosystem with his reports. But I guess people were talking quite a bit about this, and it starts to make more sense with the new information coming out now, which I'll do a full breakdown for it tomorrow in Newswave, so make sure you check that out because as I'm sitting here recording this, I'm seeing more updates pop up, some actually around like hardware specifications and how exactly they're building this thing out. So interesting stuff there. But it says one Switch 2 demo is a souped up version of Switch launch title Zelda Breath of the Wild, designed to hit the Switch 2's beefier target specs. Clear to note, as they say here, doesn't necessarily mean that Breath of the Wild is a title that's going to be re-released on the next system, although I guess it wouldn't necessarily shock me considering that Nintendo's been doing this obviously with Zelda games. I mean, we're talking about Wind Waker and Twilight Princess getting a Switch release. That means that Wind Waker would have been on, well, Twilight Princess specifically would have been on a bunch of different systems, GameCube, Wii U, and then Switch. So, I mean, Nintendo likes re-releasing Zelda games. It seems to work for them, sure. So why not? And the reason I think they showcase that one is because it's very familiar to basically anyone out there who has a Switch. You've probably at least seen or purchased Zelda, and it's a good representation of what is possible on the system in an open world setting. Yes, it's a Wii U game, but as we've seen it with emulators, you scale it up to 4K, you run it at 60, you include ray tracing. The game still looks really, really impressive, and running on hardware that would be a hybrid device like this Switch 2 system that apparently has an 8-inch LCD and stuff, yeah, it's going to look even more impressive then. But the thing, obviously, people are noticing, coming off the heels of Gamescom, these trade shows, even though people are going into these back rooms with the idea of an NDA in place, I mean, the industry talks, a lot of people talking back and forth, and eventually it finds its way to someone who has a friend in press and media, and here we are now with this report, which brings us to 2 weeks from now, when I believe Nintendo will probably be showcasing this device again in some way, that being at Tokyo Game Show. Clearly, it's a spot that makes a lot of sense for Nintendo with Japanese publishers and developers there in force, and you figure they're all about trying to get on this next system from Nintendo with how well the Switch did just in general, even at launch in Japan, and large publishers like Bandai basically showing remorse that they missed that train, and they've been trying to catch up ever since. Yeah, they're definitely going to want to be there day one if they can, and even seeing the device like this behind closed doors in a demonstration would be very important to them, and Nintendo would know that. But to me, that means that we'll probably be getting more information after Tokyo Game Show. It's not going to be a coincidence if that happens. It'll just mean that, yeah, somebody saw it there, had like a full like briefing on it, and just decided to talk about it in some way. And it could be because it's very impressive to them. Some of the other reports are mentioning DLSS, ray tracing. DLSS is expected. Ray tracing was kind of up in the air, and the fact that we're hearing about it being demonstrated with something like Unreal Engine 5, it's pretty impressive, the implications of what Nintendo's first-party developers could do after seeing something like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 running on the Switch or Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, you just imagination with that's probably running wild. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on here. I think Eurogamer is going to probably continue putting out more and more reports as they can get it. Remember, they did a pretty good job on the run-up, I would say, to the original Switch, them with Digital Foundry. So I'm going to keep an eye on them for this. And VGC, since they just seem to keep getting source after source after source, and they've been pretty good there too. Also, it sounds like Nate could have some more information to share on how some of these demos exactly were running behind closed doors, these demonstrations. So something else to keep an eye on there, because then that could also be corroborated by other outlets. So this kind of feels like the real start to the run up for the Switch 2, with the Floodgates opening reports hitting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Very, very exciting times going forward. And yeah, I think Nintendo is probably going to move to reveal this thing fully to the public, probably the first quarter of 2024, after they get past the holiday season with the Switch, to not sabotage those sales. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below, with the Switch 2 apparently being demoed with some pretty impressive technology. And make sure you check out Newswave tomorrow, as we'll go over all of this and more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.